charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press. If you have any concern that the person you are speaking with is in mental health crisis or suicidal, please call the state correctional institution immediately. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now. Peace, everyone. I have on the line with me Brother General Nash Sharif, also known as Eric Riddick. He was the author of the book, The French People. In his book, he has detailed information that proves his findings of the cure of cancer. So our topic today is cancer. Now, we all know someone who suffers from cancer who has passed away from some form of cancer. You know, the traditional information that the doctors and the corporations are telling us is a lie. So, we the people declare war against cancer. How are you today, Mr. Goody?
I'm well.
Although I'm going to be conducting an interview, we're going to revisit the interview that's in your book with HRC, which is the Human Rights Coalition.
Okay.
While we're going through this interview, I want you to either elaborate or kind of simplify some of the questions so our listeners can kind of understand some of the terminology that's being used. Yes. All right, so we're going to go right into it, okay?
All right.
All right. Brother General, I want to first thank you for granting HRC this interview on such an important subject.
No problem. In fact, I would like to thank HRC for providing me with this powerful platform through this interview, allowing me to further elaborate on the content within the French paper on such an important topic.
I have just completed reading the unedited version of the French paper, and it blew my mind. Wow. It makes sense, and it's very comprehensive. My first question to you is, what compels you to qualify yourself to write the French papers?
Good question. Well, first, let me begin by quoting a very wise man that I was blessed to learn from, who stated that dissatisfaction brings about change. My dissatisfaction with the devastation that viruses and diseases were and still is inflicting on the people, as well as the inability of the majority of the medical community and establishment to produce concrete cures, drove me to deep inquiry regarding viruses and diseases. I knew that something had to change, and any time that change is warranted. Life has been consistent in its propensity to produce the factors necessary to materialize their change. The dissatisfaction of the people is currently at a level whereas their minds are open for the consideration of change, and thus the French papers being presented in this moment in time is in season. As you look around, diseases is raining havoc on millions and millions of lives all across the world. And the medical and science establishment seems to be either shell-shocked.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Chester. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Either shell-shocked in the face of this challenge, or they are capitalizing off of it. Either way, change is in season regarding this crisis. And when the societal leaders and professionals fail to provide consistent solutions in the nefarious face of such devastation like sickness and illness and viruses and diseases, then the people will no doubt produce the formula. You see, the information within my book, The French Papers, and its presentation is a labor of love.
Okay. No, I understand and fully respect that answer. But was there something specific that happened during your incarceration that set you on this extraordinary path? And if so, what was it, if you don't mind me sharing your experience?
Well, as you know, and many other people know, I've been tenaciously fighting a wrongful conviction since 1992. And that experience of being unjustly incarcerated for a crime that I did not do did have a profound effect on my worldview. It made me reevaluate many immature, naive tendencies to automatically expect governmental institutions and their service to the people to be authentic. During my judicial lynching, that the courts call a conviction, which is an unjust conviction, I automatically assume to my detriment that I will receive the constitutional guarantee of effective representation in the face of false accusations. And thus, I didn't study the law. As a result, I lost my freedom for over 2 decades and still counting. But at the end of every loss is a lesson. Although this was a very painful and costly lesson, it was a valuable one. It activated my natural propensity to inquire, and I began to educate myself so that my inquiries would be intelligent. To my surprise, my inquisitions revealed to me that not only was
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Chester.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
To my surprise, my inquisitions revealed to me that not only was the judicial system broken, but also other vitally important societal establishments, including the medical and science establishment, was broken. I was witnessing multitudes of people dying from viruses and diseases, and the majority of the medical professionals were saying that there was no cure for many of those ailments. My intuition wouldn't allow me to accept those defeatist medical opinions. Therefore, I began looking into natural alternative approaches. Lastly, regarding this particular question, there was another very pivotal situation that happened that did in fact motivate me in the direction of the study of molecular biology as it relates to viruses and diseases. Around 1994, a very good childhood friend of mine, who we would call for privacy purposes T, frantically reached out to me. When I finally contacted her, she confided in me that her children's father had infected her with the HIV virus and that she was considering committing suicide. I first immediately moved to convince her that suicide could not be an option, which I was successful in doing. I then assured her that I would research HIV and AIDS and that we would beat it together. Shortly thereafter, I picked up my first molecular biology course.
Wow. The first paper is contended that plants have the ability to cure diseases and viruses such as HIV, AIDS, cancer, and hepatitis. This is a very bold contention, Brother General. In the most plain language, can you explain to me how?
Well, it's a very complex situation, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible. And after I read the answer, I'll really elaborate on this answer. First and foremost, we must break free from much of what we've been misled to believe about viruses and diseases. Unfortunately, many of us have been conditioned to view them as overwhelming medical conditions that are too complex and complicated for the average person to understand. This systemic fear manufacturing is intentionally designed to disarm us of our basic intuitive common sense, rendering us dependent on the profiteering medical establishment. Let's take cancer, for example. Cancer, for example, is describing an effect, an activity, a manifestation of a cause. The cause is a form of RNA material or genetic material referred to as carcinogen, which is a hyperaccelerated molecule. Now keep in mind that every occurrence functions within the law of cause and effect, and that everything is made up of atoms, everything. These atoms bind with specificity to configurate, that's the key word, configurate molecules. In the case of all viruses as well as all other infectious diseases, the cause is micromolecular at its foundation. The reason I point out this fact that all viruses and diseases at its core is micromolecular is to highlight that plants specifically secrete metabolic and anabolic molecules to engage the micromolecules as they are taken in by the plant at its root. These anabolic molecules, anabolic meaning to build something up. These anabolic molecules produced by plants act as a precursor chemical programmed to systematically reconfigure, keyword again, reconfigure the micromolecules that are taken in from the soil. This precursor anabolic control chemical of plants I have empirically identified as the anabolic precursor C1N14 control chemical. C1N14 means 1 carbon atom and 14 nitrogen atoms. Now note, it is the specific micromolecular configuration and expression that produces the viral inactivity. C1N14 changes the micromolecular configuration, thus changing the very biomolecular activity that the micromolecules carry out. Now, here's the key point I want to touch on before we go to the next question. Configuring and reconfiguring. Everything is made up of atoms, even viruses, right? Viruses, when they combine and configurate, they form molecules. So, viruses and disease is molecular activity. Cancer is a molecular activity. AIDS is a molecular activity. Like water is a molecular activity. H2O. But if you remove a nitrogen atom, or if you remove an oxygen atom, it's no longer water because you're reconfiguring the molecular structure. See, the activity is manifested based off of the particular configuration. So when you add C1N14 in the equation, it reconfigures the molecular structure, thus changing the activity.
So, wow, just with all that being said, can we break it down a little more, simplicity for some of our listeners?
Say it one more time.
Can we break it down a little more simplified?
Okay. Again, let's take water, H2O. And let's equate water, H2O. Let's say that's cancer, right? Now, it's cancer as long as it maintains its molecular structure. Once that molecular structure is reconfigured, it's no longer going to carry out that particular activity. So again, when you change the configuration, you change H2O, it's no longer water. You take out an oxygen atom, it becomes a nitrate. It's no longer water. So, for example, as we go on in the interview, we're going to elaborate. We're going to go into RNA material. RNA being the foundation of all viruses. Okay. But within the RNA material is an oxygen element that makes that genetic material called RNA virulent. It becomes hyperaccelerated. So the chemical formula or the chemical compound of RNA or ribose is 5 carbon atoms, 10 hydrogen atoms, and 5 oxygen atoms. It's the oxygen, hyperaccelerated oxygen, that causes the inflammation. Now, when you add C1N14 in that chemical formula, it's no longer a viral particle once you add the C1N14 because it reconfigures the molecule. It creates a totally different molecule. In fact, it creates a molecule, macromolecular protein called a ribosome, which we're going to go into later on in the interview.
Okay.
In fact, the next question is dealing with RNA material.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the subtitle of the finished paper is Fundamental Thoughts on RNA Expressions as it Relates to Disease and Viruses. As simple as possible, explain how relevant is the RNA to health, disease, and viruses.
Absolutely. Well,
I think we should hold up to the next call, Brother General, because the call.
We have 1 minute left.
All right, absolutely.
So, call right back and we can continue this for part 2.
All right. To be continued.